How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious, and I cannot wait to share this video with you. Last week, IvyLeeGaming and I were lucky enough to sit down with some of the developer team at Moonton who create Watcher of Realms, and we asked them some hard-hitting questions that we came up with, and so did you guys. We had viewer-submitted questions. It was fantastic. It was a brilliant Q&A. And the icing on top, as if it could not get any better, they actually took the initiative and shared with us all their future content plans for the rest of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. Let's get into it, guys. The future content plans, the Q&A, it is amazing.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
All right, hey guys, IvyLeeGaming here. I've been playing Watcher since the day of global release. I guess technically a little bit before. I played a little bit before it launched for the sake of a sponsorship, which is how I found the game, and then I liked it enough to stick around. So, really enjoying everything ever since.
Great to see Ivy and the dev team. I've been playing Watcher of Realms for about, I believe, 9 or 10 months now, which is crazy. I guess it is 10 months because I passed 300 days a little while ago, about a week ago. I love the game. I love the strategy. I love the community. I love other great creators just like IvyLeeGaming, and I'm excited to ask some questions and get some answers.
All right, so we're here joined by the developers today. I'm really excited to dive in, ask some questions, find out what's coming. So, who do we have with us? What's cooking today?
Hi guys, thank you Ivy for the introduction. And my name is Wren. I'm one of the developers, one of the designers in the developer team, and I'm doing most of the talking today on behalf of the developer team. And our lead designer is also here today to join us. And we are all super excited to have this conversation.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Alrighty, folks. First up, let's see what the developers have in store in terms of all the planned content for the rest of 2024 and the start of 2025.
So will also briefly discuss what's next in the second year of WOR, and at this point, what we can share is that first of all, we will introduce a sort of new tower defense content with loads of roguelike elements, and there will be no hero progression attached, which means you does not bring your gear or artifact progression into this content, and it's more of a puzzle solving oriented direction that we're trying. So it's also sort of something we built up with this anniversary content, and this is expected to release on the first half of the 2025. Fastidious, do you have a question about this?
I'm just getting excited. I have a lot of thoughts, but I can save it for a little later.
No, that's really good.
So second stuff is we are preparing a real-time arena for this, which is to be released by the end of this year. So you guys all know what real-time arena is. You guys get matched with real players, and you guys can compete with each other in real time. And we'll definitely do some changes to the stage and to the game mechanics as well. Hopefully it's more competitive content than the current arena.
I'm just really happy to hear the PvP that's not based on your level. Another game I played had that, and it was so nice to be able to feel like you could enter the game and just experiment and play and compete on a fair level of anyone in the game. I really like that, so I'm excited.
I wonder, with that content you're describing for the start of 2025, would that have any form of like ranking or some kind of PvP element where you could see, because I know people would really get excited by the fact that they could actually see how they're ranking in terms of like skill and strategy, completely divorced from amazing gear or heroes or awakenings and so on.
At this point, I cannot say anything for sure, but it's more likely than not we will have sort of a ranking for this new tower defense content.
Awesome.
Roguelike content.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, Ivy, that the no hero progression content is not for the PvP. It's for the PvE actually. The new tower defense with roguelike. That's why it's no hero progression attached. But the PvP is still a progression attached.
Okay.
But
Okay, fair enough.
with the progression lists PvE, would there still be some form of ranking to see how far
Yeah,
you got? Maybe that's what I was wondering about.
And you're talking about something like leaderboards, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely we'll have something like that.
Awesome. And then I wanted to ask a very quick follow-up about the real-time arena. Would that feature any kind of like team selection lockout? So let's say Ivy and I were playing each other and like Ivy selected Ardia. Does that mean I can't select her? And it like you have that kind of limiting strategic factor?
Yeah, that's something we have been
Hmm.
discussing because when real time arena is in the conversation, you will definitely think of sort of like ban pick or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, banning
it's most
characters.
yeah it's most likely will not be as complicated as something you experienced in mobile games, and but we will work on it, and maybe it will be a simplified version. And yeah, it's not for certain at this point,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
we'll definitely think about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And there will also be some updates in the next year, in the following year. So there will be updates for campaign. Like we will introduce chapter 10 update in the second half of this year, and there will be chapter 11 in the next year. And this is pretty much what we can talk about right now uh, at this point.
I just ask one clarifying thing about campaign, Ren? Um,
Yeah.
so far, like when we started playing the game, we had 8 chapters, right? And then we had the 3 difficulties. But then chapter 9 was introduced, part at the time chapter 9, now chapter 9 part 1, and it was like way harder than anything an expert, right? And now we have chapter 9 part 2 and it's still in normal. Do you anticipate that that's how the campaign will grow? Like the hard and expert levels will be limited just to the original 8 chapters, and as you expand the campaign, it will just be additions onto normal? Or will there be like a chapter 9 part 1 expert one day or something?
There will the hard and nightmare mode for the chapter 9 uh, and the later chapters will are in the plannings, and we will release them accordingly. And yeah, so it's not like we will only expand the normal mode.
Great.
We'll think of all the modes. Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good. That'll be very difficult. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much what we can talk about for the next year new content for WR right now.
All right, guys, I got some codes. So this first code is just for new players. This is going to be Play War 2024. This is specifically for players who have just started playing in the past 3 days or less. The contents of this code are a rare summoning crystal, 100 diamonds, and a huge stamina pot. We also have a code for returning players. This one is going to be Gala of Taya, and this is for specifically returning players who have not logged in the past 14 days at the time of redeeming this code. The contents of this code will be 5 rare summoning crystals, and it will be redeemable between June 18th and August 30th. Also, we have 2 more codes. IvyLee and I both have exclusive promo codes just for us and our viewers. Unfortunately, guys, both Ivy and my codes are expired at the time of publishing this. But fear not, we will both have new codes with more redemptions once again next week. And finally, at the end of this video, I will go over the details on how to be potentially a big winner in our giveaway. There are going to be 30 winners, and the rewards are for one lucky player, a signature Ymerit skin, for another lucky player, a signature Boreas skin, for 3 lucky players, 1 month of a monthly summoning card. That comes out to 40 rare summoning crystals. Then we will have 5 players who win 5 ancient summoning crystals. And finally, the other 20 players will get an extra 300 diamonds. For the specific details on how to enter the giveaway, stick to the end of the video. And now, at long last, let's get into that dev Q&A. You know we didn't hold back. Let's see what the devs had to say. All right, guys, so now we have a Q&A part with some questions I came up with myself and then a lot of viewer submitted questions. So thank you to you guys. We also did the same thing on Ivy's channel with a bunch of suggestions you guys, our shared viewers, and of course Ivy's great viewers submitted. So definitely go check that out. I think we'll start with one of mine, then we'll sprinkle it. Also, a lot of mine were shared by you guys. So we'll start with one of mine, then we'll go to some viewer questions, and maybe we'll pop back and forth. So first one for me, what are the plans to buff slash kind of rework older, maybe less used heroes? I believe doing this consistently in a patch every month or every other month would keep the game fresher and the player base more engaged.
Yeah, so that's something we have been constantly doing. We are always trying to optimize and enhance our older heroes to make them fit the meta better. Many heroes have already benefited from these improvements, and we are currently experimenting with designing more diverse combat styles, which may lead to some heroes being revamped. Maybe you guys have noticed there are less heroes being reworked or buffed in the last couple months, but that's partly because we are so busy preparing the anniversary patch. Just rest assured that we will keep doing this old hero rework and buffing in the future, and we always watch over the heroes that are less powered or less meta fit.
Great. Yeah, I would one quick follow-up on that would be like this is kind of like a mascot of my channel, but like Cratch, you guys like reworked him by making him 3 less cost, but like
Not good enough.
reworking an ugly sweater by painting another ugly color on it that you think is slightly prettier isn't the solution, right? So like maybe there could be a feedback system when you do go back to a real OG hero. I know we do a lot of surveys in game because for me personally, he doesn't need to be good, but you know he was already terrible, and making him 3 costs cheaper, but still far more expensive than anyone else with a terrible kit. You know, it's not going to make him usable. So maybe if there was some kind of back and forth, or maybe that's what this is right now. I don't know. Is that something you'd be open to? You know, so like if you tried to buff a Kriya or a Zealous, maybe there's some kind of feedback channel the player base could participate in.
Yeah, we actually have been collecting and looking into the feedbacks from players since the game was launched, and some of the heroes were reworked because of the player feedback, and
Mm-hmm.
some have not been reworked because there are many considerations that involving whether a certain particular hero is reworked or not, and we have different some heroes are just designed to have their just designed to be used in certain environment or certain gameplay mode. And you know how gacha game is that just you have more powerful heroes than you have less powerful heroes.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
fair. Yeah, they can't all be OP.
I get it. However, just throwing it at the wall, very specific. If Cratch had dual faction membership with Piercer, he would be usable for Furious Torrent, and that would be very exciting.
That's true.
Anyway, let's go to a viewer submitted question. We've got one here from BCH54009. I think this is a really fun one, so maybe we'll lighten us up after my garage tirade. Are there any collaborations planned, like how other games have worked with Monster Hunter and the like? So maybe a collaboration between Moonton and the Watcher of Realms brand and like another property that, you know, maybe we could integrate into our game and they could integrate us into their game, something like that.
Yeah, we do have a plan for this, and we are being discussing about it. And but for now, we cannot reveal the exact IP or name of it as of yet. But stay tuned, and it's gonna be good. Yeah.
Good.
Can you say, is that something players could like look forward to in the next 12 months or something, maybe?
If it happens, it will happen in the next 12 months.
Awesome. Okay. Exciting. Great. All right. Here's a question. It's a long one, so buckle up. This is from Wamus Bommel 3619. It says, alrighty, folks, the next viewer question you were going to see me ask was quite the hairy one, and naturally, really a can of worms when it came to the devs trying to answer it, so we really had to unpack it. Basically, we were touching on the topic of transparency, you know, when it comes to hero drop rates, stats on gear, big things like that. So the devs were very patient and they did answer, or at least they were polite. However, they made a big effort and took a couple days. That's why this video has been delayed. They took a couple days and came back to me with a formal and official response. So watch now the original conversation. At the end, you're going to see me again, Fasti from the future, and I will show you that official statement. Let's get back to the video. Is Moonton planning to improve the information over and communication of the game, and if so, how? More specifically, and for example, drop rates of heroes, drop rates of gear, set types, ancients, distribution of stats, looking at the Gearforge debacle at the moment. I think he's talking about Wicked Vengeance and some issues we've seen now that we have Ancient Guardian pieces that don't seem to have substats lining up with the thing you'd expect to synergize with the actual set. Without any official information from Moonton. He says, vague description of hero skills and or missing information. If you ask Moonton support, they clearly do not know enough about the game itself, so the support can also use better information. Other information that would be nice is a calendar with more in-advance data for events and banners and more long-term plans and expectations, so people do not have to look at all the leaks that may or may not be true. It's a loaded question. We would love to hear your response.
Yeah, so I know this is a question that many players have concerns on. Do know that first of all, if we decide to reveal such information or not reveal such information, they are all based on a business decision. It's also a business concern. What we can see for now is that the drop rates of heroes are exactly like what they are declared in the information page. The drop rates of gears and the attributes allocation of gears are there are all of course some randomness in it, and we cannot disclose all of them because of business concern. And for the vagueness of heroes skills, I have answered similar questions before.
Yeah, so with regard to the vague descriptions, everyone should go check out the video, the other part to this on Ivy's channel, because it actually was addressed very well. I am going to have to follow up on those two things. So you said the drop rates are as listed. The way they are listed very much seems to imply and leads the player to infer that, you know, you have a group, a rarity group, right? So it says there's without the rate up, it's a 0.46% chance without 2x to get a legendary hero, a non-legendary lord, legendary hero, and then you list whatever, 40 something. The average player would look at that and think it's 0.46 divided by that number. That is the rate that is going to be for every single hero. But anecdotally, and from, you know, I did a study with over 2 million summons accounted for, it's very clear that it's not the same chance to pull Kriya and Hotsit. I think would you be open to, or maybe at least receptive to thinking maybe not each individual hero needs a rate, but maybe you could more specifically define those rarity buckets? Because clearly, even though they're legendary heroes, Hotsit exists in a different rarity bucket than, say, Aurum, or Arrogance exists in a different legendary rarity bucket than, say, Zealous. Is that something you could be open to?
For your question, we will make the drop rates as clear as possible, but due to the business decision of most other gacha games, we may not be able to clarify like small groups in the same rarity level. Yeah.
You don't have to answer this, but just my 2 cents. I think like some games, like on a game Ivy and I both played, it was Eternal Evolution, and they list the exact rate for every character. I understand if perhaps that is a step too far, but I do wonder if it would even help the business. This is just speculation, my 2 cents, but just by having a little more delineation in each rarity group, it would give more peace of mind to the player base. They would value getting the rare heroes more, and they would understand when they don't more. So a good example, we just had a Virna and Kai banner, and I spent a lot of time in a video in front of a spreadsheet trying to set people's expectations before the banner, because we knew people would pull more Kai than Virna, because as everyone in this call knows and everyone watching knows, Kai is more common than Virna. So if you just had slight delineations, I do think it could help a bit. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. That's just, I wanted to say my piece.
Actually, what was the name of the game you just mentioned?
Eternal Evolution. It's a game we played.
Eternal Revolution. Okay. Thanks for feedback. We'll think about it. Definitely.
Great. Thank you. I have one more follow-up, not on this, on the gear thing. I promise it's much easier and less contentious. So you talked about how, there's randomness to the substats, things like that. However, there are some things known just by the community having, endless experience of it happening that are true and are not listed. I'd wonder if you'd consider listing it. Let me give an example. An ancient weapon in this game on global server cannot have attack speed, crit rate, crit damage, attack bonus. It's impossible. There's no existence of this on global server. It used to happen on Forerunner. It was a very rare special thing, but it could happen. This is what many of us would think is like a perfect weapon, and it does not exist anymore on Forerunner. No one's gotten it recently, and no one's ever gotten on global. I think it's not the end of the world if you don't allow that to happen, but would you consider disclosing something like that? What are the actual substat possibilities for different things, for different ancients, non-ancients, variants, so on? Again, I think just that clarity, whether it's good or bad for the player, the clarity would be a win, in my personal opinion. I don't know what you think, Ivy.
Yeah, I think it's important. The more clarity that you can give, the more the community trusts and appreciates the company. Having stuff that's vague or I guess not shown, but everyone knows otherwise, just makes the player base trust less and less and less. So it really can go a long way to just try to just show that you're willing to be as transparent as possible. It makes people stick around.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's definitely something we'll work on in the future.
Okay, we really appreciate that. Alrighty, folks, so they took a couple days and they came back to us with the official statement. Let me pop that up for you right now. I've titled it General Transparency in Different Content, the official statement from Watcher of Realms developers, and the following 4 points are exactly verbatim their words. Number 1, we will consider displaying hero drop rates more clearly and will continue to improve players' summoning pool experience. 2, in the future, we will add explanatory text indicating the possible attributes for different types and slots of gear. 3, we will raise the standards for hero skill descriptions and continuously optimize the skill texts for older heroes. 4, we will consider providing earlier announcements for events and summoning pools in the future. All in all, I think it was a very leveled and great response. It obviously took a while, so I think Moonton, as well as myself, we apologize for the delay. I hope it was worth it. I worked very hard on this video, so did everyone else, so let's get back to it. I'm happy, man. They're hearing us. Transparency was always kind of my bugaboo, the thing I've been championing in this game as a content creator way back when I had 1,000 subscribers, right? It's been very important to me from the get. And it means so much that Moonton was willing to listen to you guys and Ivy and to me on this topic. And clearly we're getting through to them. We're working together. I'm delighted. Back to it. Here's an easier question. This comes from another great creator that is a colleague of Ivy and mine. This is StormyZ892. Shout out to Stormy. He asks, hello, currently HP and defense-based damage dealers feel a bit off. Is there any plan to make them more viable so we can have different options in the future?
Yeah, so the team has noticed this problem, and part of the reason is that we need to balance the performance of such heroes in both offense and survival end. And we are considering making certain optimizations and enhancements to the currently such weaker heroes. And additionally, in the future, we will design more powerful heroes on this genre, whose output is based on health and defense. And basically, we will have more powerful heroes which are dealing damage based on HP or defense. And just a side note that previously we have less content which requires heroes to do survival work. So it's mostly just dealing damage. So such heroes have you can see have less advantage compared to other heroes which dealing damage on attack, because we have better attack supporters like Dolores and not as good supporters for HP or defense based damage dealers. So that's one disadvantage for them. And as the weekly Guild Boss is released, we finally have some content that will not just have the ability to do damage, but also the ability to survive and protect your team. So as more and more contents are released on this part, there will be more usefulness for such kind of heroes, because they just need to build HP or defense attributes, and they can both do damage and they can survive. So there's some sort of advantage.
I think it makes a lot of sense. It has to be a trade-off. If you had as potent an
Yeah.
HP or defense-based damage dealer and they were tanky, so they get a double benefit, I understand that. You did touch on the existence of a hero like Dolores, and I think that's what a lot of people think when they're in the same line of thinking as Stormy Z and they say it feels off. Would you consider like a support? It doesn't have to be as potent as a Dolores or a Constance or something, but someone that maybe can buff HP or buff defense, because maybe that could be a middle ground.
Yeah, most games have like an increased defense buff.
We already have such heroes. Do you guys?
Yeah, so but for example, Midon's increased defense, it's not even in like the same world in terms of potency and the way it can scale, because it's more of like a buff than it is a direct sharing of stat. That's what makes Constance and Dolores so powerful, because you can scale it so significantly.
Wow.
So maybe something in line with like what Faircy does, you know, a more watered down version, but a defense version, or, you know, because that would still be more potent than like Midon or Trust.
We'll consider releasing more powerful heroes in terms of buffing defense or HP, your max HP attributes in the future. That's definitely something we'll work on. Okay.
That's great. Yeah, I think just support heroes are always my favorite. So the more of those, the better. We can go back to one of my questions. This is also shared by many. I see Bunny's clicking on it right now. Shared by many people in my comment section as well. A lot of the two questions I chose were kind of, you know, Frankensteins of things people were asking in my comment section. So this one is a big one, I think, and I know I've heard you talk about it in your videos, Ivy. It's with regard to Epic Awakening tokens. So this is what you get when you sell off duplicate Epic heroes you don't want. Will you consider expanding the Awakening shop option specifically for Epic Awakening tokens, or allowing us to sell off unwanted epics for diamonds? As it stands now, players who have been enjoying the game for a long time have massive stockpiles of Epic Awakening tokens, which they will never be able to use. I find myself rooting to pull rares instead of epics, just so I can sell them for diamonds. We need a valuable resource without a purchase limit, for example, XP, you know, experience points, or we need an option to convert them into diamonds or something else useful. Can you share anything on this? Because I've seen you in your videos where you're doing pulls, Ivy, as well, where it's just like, I just want blue. Like, I don't even want epics. And I think that's naturally like an unhealthy balance in terms of rarity hierarchy.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were asking Ivy to add something on this. So we are aware of such problems, and in the future we will add more items, add more useful items, such as universal keys, mithril, and stamina potions to the awakening shop, which are redeemable for with the epic awakening tokens. All these items can be exchanged during using such currency, and especially for mithril, a large amount can be exchanged weekly in the awakening shop with epic awakening tokens. So hopefully that will solve this problem and making the store experience better.
Great. Yeah, I think Mithril is a great choice.
Yeah, it's hard to
as well. It's so hard.
I
getting
sell
Mithril
Tear
when
of
you're
Twilight because I have so many of them that I just need more Mithril. That's sad.
That says a lot. That's gonna hurt a lot of viewers to hear, but it's a
Sorry.
reality. I've sold more Lunacy visors than I would ever admit properly publicly. All right, let's go to another viewer question. I believe this is the final question from me or any viewers. This is going to come from MessMess. It says, we have completed the main storyline and all gear levels. We noticed the new farming gameplay in War and are a bit concerned that it might affect the development progress of future tower defense gameplay. We still hope the team can continue to focus on and deepen the main gameplay. Currently, the farming gameplay experience is not very good. For example, basic acceleration features are missing, and we have to wait after each operation. We hope this experience can be improved in the future and have a stronger connection with core game items. So I think that question is basically two parts. The first is, I think some players have expressed that they feel like certain things in Codex, even though it's fun, it's moving away from tower defense, which is what made a lot of people fall in love with the game. And then also the monotonous farming that it's takes a long time and maybe it could be accelerated. So I think it's kind of a two-parter, and we'd love to know what you guys think.
Okay. So first of all, developing new gameplay modes will not affect the main storyline development. Rest assured. So the farming mode is something we have been trying to as a new attempt for us to partly resolve the problems for the players during their idle time and to improve their experience and on it. And we try to bring in some simulation game elements to it, and that rest assured that it will not affect the core gameplay, which is tower defense development. So we hope you can provide us with more feedback and be patient as we will try to work to improve this feature in the future.
Sounds great. And if it's any consolation for a strict positive, I think that roguelite tower will scratch that itch for a lot of people, myself included. I want to add one very quick thing, very, very specific. Could you consider a manual lock for GVG defense?
Oh,
So like
yes,
at any
please.
time,
Oh
Monday
my
or
God.
Tuesday at the start of the week before GVG,
Oh,
you can pick the moment to lock in your defense. Because this would be, for me, and I think many other players, you're nodding, Ivy.
I always forget to put my artifacts back on people.
Me too.
Manual
Would you be
lock.
open to that?
So you mean
You set your defense and you lock it.
As it stands now, defense locks like end of game day on Tuesday.
Your gear that's on your characters, he means.
Yeah, whatever your defense, whomever is on your defense, whatever gear and artifact they are wearing locks. We're saying, could we pick any moment on Monday and Tuesday where we could manually lock it? So now we know, we're safe, and then you can move that gear around again. Because otherwise, for a lot of us in different time zones, like for me, I think that's 2 a.m. It's like very hard to time it out perfectly. I know other people have an even harder time.
Okay, I see. And so yeah, so for the reply, we'll definitely think about it, and it's always our goal to make the player experience more smoothly, especially for the GVT. And yeah, it's definitely something we'll think about.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for, some of them weren't the easiest questions. So thank you for your great answers. And to the viewers, I want to implore you to go check out the video on Ivy's channel as well, because there were also some amazing questions with equally as amazing answers. Thank you so much, devs.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. So how do you participate in the giveaway for the chance to win a Ymerit skin, a Boreas skin, maybe 1 month of monthly summoning, 5 ancient summoning crystals, or 300 diamonds? Let's find out. So make sure you have liked this video. Make sure you have clicked the notification bell. Make sure you are subscribed to not just me, but also IvyLeeGaming. And finally, in the comments, let me know your favorite hero in the game who does not have a cinematic. And if you want to be a little extra spicy, maybe describe to me what you think that cinematic should look like. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to Ivy. Thank you to Bunny. Thank you to Wendy. Thank you to the whole dev team in Moonton. This was a blast. This was a huge undertaking and just a lot of fun. I love the questions. I love the answers. And most importantly, I cannot wait for that new content. If you like my stuff, like it, subscribe, get in the comments, share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon.
Fastidious.